Hey Antioch family, hope you're doing well. We've got a special update for you because I interviewed Noah and Allison Hutchison, our family's pastor, to talk through marriage during this lockdown. And they've got some great insights and some really practical tips on how we can thrive during this time. But before we jump into that, just want to remind you that we have our food pantry happening every Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30. It's happening tonight. You can still volunteer for that, whether that's here coming to the church and helping distribute things or being one of our drivers to go deliver food to families who can't get up to the building. You still have the opportunity to sign up and be a part of that, but we would love for you to donate towards that. And one easy way you can do that is next time you're at the grocery store, we have a list of essential food items that you can just add into your shopping trip, whether that's peanut butter or rice or whatever is on that list. We would love for you to pick that up during your grocery run and just run it by the church. If you can come on Wednesday evenings, 5:30 to 7:30 to drop that off, or just bring it to the front of the building, and every day somebody's up here and they will add that to the resources we had. And again, stay with us as we listen to Noah and Allison share with us about healthy marriage during this time. Thanks. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am with Noah and Allison Hutchison, who are amazing families pastors, and we're here to talk about marriage in the midst of this crisis. How are we doing life together, being quarantined together, spending all this time together, and our rhythms really being thrown off? What does marriage look like in this season? So, guys, thanks for joining us and being willing to share what life looks like for you guys. So I'm just going to start with a few questions, and then we'll just kind of take it from there and see what comes out. So the first one is, as you guys are, interacting with people and loving on folks in your role, what are some challenges that you are noticing that we are all facing in marriage during this time?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's precious to us is just people and relationships. But even more than that, we're all built for community. We need community. Anytime our marriage is really thriving, it's intertwined with other people, whether it's life group friends or community in our neighborhood. And so a lot of that is probably where we found the greatest challenge. We love one another and we love doing things just to us, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But really having other people in our lives and not being in a silo is where we get sharpened and we become better in our marriage and better individually. And so, that's just a challenge when you feel video fatigue. But one of the things I know some girls were doing several weeks ago that I was not into was doing Marco Polo video messages because I thought, oh, why do I need to do that when I can send a text? But it's been really refreshing for me. And I think our marriage to message with some different people and send some video chats to see people's faces, even if we can't be face to face with one another. But that's been super helpful, but also a challenge.
Cool. Allison?
Yeah, I think there really is the reality that all of our lives have shifted right now. Our rhythms of life have shifted, and marriage is not immune to that. And so our rhythms in marriage have shifted. We were doing weekly date nights out prior to the quarantine. And so having to rethink, how are we getting time together, just us? We have three young kids. And so having to think through that, or troubleshooting just different rhythms in our marriage of talking late at night. I'm now exhausted after homeschooling my kids all day, on top of work, on top of all the rest of life. And so at the end of the day, how do we prioritize connecting with each other? Just that kind of thing. So I think, and I don't think we're the only ones dealing with that.
Sure.
Everyone's routines and rhythms have shifted, and we're all having to troubleshoot marriage in this time.
Yeah, sure. So tell me a little bit about how you guys are balancing family life, work life, marriage life in the midst of all this.
Yeah, I mean, Allison mentioned date nights, which we love date nights and our regular date nighters. But that's definitely something we've been challenged with. And so I guess trying to balance that, some of the things that we've done well on a day here, but haven't done well there, is the balance for our marriage is trying to have time after the kids go to bed, couch time, sitting there and actually talking and having questions. And that applies to whether you have kids or not, just creating and carving out space sitting on the couch, sitting somewhere, and having a routine to actually be like, how are you really feeling? How was your day? What do you think about this? So that's part of balancing our marriage. The most effective thing that we kind of fell into one night that we did is finishing this big puzzle together and having a comedy show on in the background, Michael Jr., and just listening to him and doing a puzzle together was like fun and refreshing and connecting to us. So I'd say that's one thing for our marriage.
Yeah, I think also going back to what we did when we were dating. So I've been trying to think critically. How did we pursue each other when we were dating? Because the reality is, so we've been married 10 years, 11 years.
11.
We've been married 11 years. And I think that we can so easily get in just go, go, go mode. And it's just been, you have this child, I have that child, you're doing this, and it can just be an information swap. And one thing that like date night or couch time helps us do is get to the heart questions of what are we actually feeling, what are we thinking, what are you learning from God. So going back to so one thing that has helped me get there is think, how did I pursue Noah back when I was dating him? And so that's, even simple things like we played board games. We haven't played board games in a while. So we have the gift of way more time together during this time. And so I think it's thinking critically on how can we leverage this time to grow instead of it. I mean, the reality is all of us have faced some sort of trauma with this pandemic. And so there is, whether it's on a large scale or more hidden, there is some sort of trauma that we're having to work through, that we're going to have to take to God, that we're going to have to engage with God on individually, and then also bring that to our spouse if we're really going to come out from this on the other side thriving in our marriage. I think that we can really, we have the opportunity to grow together during this time or to grow apart, and for the stress to be a catalyst to push us towards the Lord, or to be a catalyst to really silo us from each other. Yeah. And so I think it's more just staying cognizant of that the enemy is there to kill, steal, and destroy, and he's coming for our marriage still. And so not out of a fear place, but just out of a sobering place of we need to tend to our marriage in this time more than ever. Yeah. There's stress from external sources, and then stress from our marriage, just because those issues that we had in our marriage prior to the pandemic and self-quarantine didn't disappear suddenly. So addressing those and using this as an opportunity to press into each other instead of pull away from each other, I think is the key.
So yeah, and I would say that's our marriage friend. Then with our kids, you have more time, but then you have to actually be intentional about it. So, I've jumped on the trampoline a lot more. We've gone on a lot more bike rides because those are like the things we can do. And, those are things that I've had to intentionally engage in. The kids think it's fun to jump on the trampoline every day. I don't think it's fun to jump every day, but they still think it's fun. And we do the same thing over and over sometimes. And that's great. But just being intentional with that has worked for our family. And then kind of for us, and towards another question, we talked about, was just how do we deal with the stress of our own self and our own routines getting thrown off. And for me, I've just always treasured the early morning hours and known that that's the only thing I could really have control over. And so I still have control over that. And so, that's, for me, it works, not for everyone, but, still getting up early in the morning, whether it's getting up at 5 or before, even just to know that I'm going to have, couple hours before anyone else does anything, especially the kids, and I can get with God. I can get with my own heart. I can, read something. I can do something that's refreshing. I can work out. And if I can maintain that, which doesn't work every day, and it's definitely been thrown off more during this time, then those are things that I can control my own self and kind of tend to the balance there for what I need.
Yeah, and I think that it goes back to communication and communicating with your spouse on what you need. Every marriage, every person is going to have different needs as far as alone time, as far as time with communication with your spouse, and every family is going to have different needs. But it goes back to communicating well and being on the same team, letting this push you together. And getting on the same page. Yeah. And then from that place, you can make a plan. I mean, I think we're all learning to be flexible in this time with our best laid plans. But then if the plan doesn't work, then you come back and you communicate again on how can we tackle this together. And I think it really is the desire of the Lord for us to be united in this season and for this pressure cooker of a season to push us together rather than pull us back.
Yeah. Man, so good. I heard a lot of good stuff in there. I think, one of the takeaways from what you guys just said is how important communication is during this time that we're choosing to press into one another. There's opportunities, even though we're isolated from the rest of the world. I think and we just think we should be connected because we're in the same household, but that's not necessarily true. We can very easily isolate from each other. And so really love that. Really good. Okay. So as we're closing this out, you guys mentioned a date night where you guys watched a comedy thing and you guys did a puzzle. Do you have any other creative date night ideas from home? If not, that's great. But just thinking, giving some people some ideas.
Yeah, there's definitely different ones. Allison and I were talking about, you can just Google date night ideas during quarantine, and there's tons out there. So that's a simple thing. Who knows what you're going to get? Not recommending them all. But, we've always, for a season when we didn't have the ability to go on a date night every week out, which we don't all the time either still, we would do date nights in for us with our kids, after kids go to bed, have a good dinner, do something fun that's intentional here at the table. So you can still do that, even though life just feels like it's rolling forward. And again, that can be anything. What's fun for you? What's refreshing for you? And then I know some people just getting some drinks, getting to go and going and sitting out by the lake or going on a walk together. All of those things, are ideas and things you can do.
Yeah, I think I'd go back to having the conversation with your spouse on what did we do when we were dating? How do we pursue each other? And some of those things you can't replicate right now, but a lot you can.
Yeah.
That's really good.
There you go. You guys can do it.
It's awesome. I heard someone today tell me that they went on a date and they went on a date by getting dressed up and then they streamed an opera. And I'm like, man, that's like a whole nother level, right? So
that is.
There's a lot of different things people are going to be throwing out as creative ideas. Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Love the wisdom. I think what you guys said is valuable for all of us as we try to do marriage. So love you guys. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks. Love you.
Thanks so much.